Hello, today we are going to be going over citations in both MLA and APA. So first, let's do a quick overview of the different styles and how they compare. Starting with MLA. MLA is typically used for English writing and sometimes other humanities. It focuses on the location of the information. For in-text citations, page numbers are always included, even if you are just paraphrasing. The author is always included as well. Capitalization of titles mirror that of the work, and it always uses the language of the containers, which we will cover later on, and it includes information on the databases used. Now looking at APA, which is used for social sciences and education. It focuses on the recency of the work, so the date is always included. Unlike MLA, for APA, page numbers are only provided for quoted materials for in-text citations. The capitalizations of titles is the first letter only and the first letter of the subtitle, and any proper nouns. And APA uses just the DOIs or staple URLs. It will not include database information. So, how do you go about creating a works cited or bibliography? Well, first, a works cited is for MLA, and that is anything that is cited in your essay. A bibliography is used for APA and includes any of the work cited in your essay that can be found by another person. So you can cite personal communication in text for APA, but it's excluded from your bibliography. So the first step is to identify the type of source. Is it a book? Is it an article? Is it a video? The second step is to locate all the components for the citation model, and we will go over how to do that later on. Step 3 is to type the entry. Make sure things are formatted correctly, including double spacing and hanging indents. Lastly, make sure that your entries are in alphabetical order. Now looking closer at MLA formatting. Now, as we discussed earlier, MLA defines things in terms of containers. These are the bits of information that follow the author, which is listed as the last name, comma, the first name, period. Pay close attention as we go through the formatting of the things on the left-hand side. Are they in italics? Are they capitalized or are they not? Is there a comma following it or a period? The other thing about containers is there is often more than one container. For example, we may have an article within a journal, which is one container, and that journal is located in a database, which is another container. So now let's look at an example for citing an MLA. This is a screenshot of an article you can find on the JSTOR database. The title is Modern Times and the Comedy of Transformation by Mark Winokur. So let's break this down and locate what information we would need to pull for a citation of this article. So first we would need the author. The second thing to note is the article title. However, the thing we want to pay attention to is the capitalization is kind of odd. So we want to see if the way the database has it capitalized is the same way that is capitalized in the article itself. So then we identify the first container. This article is first located in the journal Literature and Film Quarterly, and the information we need from there is the journal name, the volume number, the issue number, and the page numbers. Then we need to include the second container's information, which is the database. The database name is JSTOR, and the stable URL is located at the bottom. So what does this look like? So first, for the article, it is located in Literature Film Quarterly, and that's in italics, and then this is followed by a comma, and then the volume, which is capitalized, then 15, comma, number, which is not capitalized, and then 4, comma, the publication date, which is 1987, and then comma, the page numbers, which is pp dot 219 through 226, period. Now, our second container is JSTOR itself, and that is the title of the container. And it is italicized and then followed by a comma, and then the location, which is the stable URL with a period at the end. So let's look at our final citation for this article in MLA. We have our author's name listed, first, last name, comma, the full first name, period. We have the title of the article as it is formatted when we pull up the article itself, which was different than how it was listed in the database. Then we have the title of the journal, followed by the volume number and issue number. Volume number is capitalized, issue number is not. Then we have the year of publication, the pages the article can be found within the journal. Then we have our second container, the database JSTOR, and the stable URL. So let's take a look at another example you might have, a book. This example is Anne Hornaday's book, Talking Pictures, How to Watch Movies. Looking at our container for the book, the publisher is Basic Books, which is followed by a comma, and then the publication year, which is 2017, followed by a period. So the full example of the book MLA citation would be Hornaday, comma, and, period, the title in italics, period, and then the publisher, comma, the year of publication. Now looking at APA formatting. APA does not use the label container, but rather it uses the label source. All the resources we have some sort of author, date, title, and source information. The first names of the authors, editors, and other contributors are not given in APA. Instead, initials are used. So let's go through some examples of citing an APA. First, looking at a book. It starts with author or editor information, followed by the date, then the title, then the source information, which includes the publisher and the DOI or URL. So we look and see, is my author a group? Then we would format the author as the name of the group, period. If my author is an editor, then we would start with the editor's last name and their initials and follow it with ED, which is the abbreviation for editor. Do you have any additional information for the title? Include that. If it is an audiobook, we want to indicate that, etc. Purdue OWL has excellent guides for both APA and MLA, which include this information as well. So, for the book example we looked at earlier, in APA format, it would be cited as the author's last name, comma, the first initial, followed by the year of publication in parentheses, period, then the title of the book, and note how the title capitalization changes from MLA to APA. We just capitalize the T in Talking Pictures and the H in How to Watch Movies because it is the subtitle. And we end with the publication information. So, another thing you might use is a selection in a book, and this follows the same general format. The chapter author, so who wrote that particular chapter, the date of publication, the chapter title, and the source information, which is the book the chapter is located in, and then the DOI or URL if provided. If you have a periodical, which is an article in a journal, again it follows that same order. Author, date, title, source information, which includes the periodical title, the volume number, issue number, and page numbers, and ends with your DOI or URL. Now, it is important to note that titles of periodicals and the volume number are italicized, but not the issue number or page numbers. Here are some abbreviations for APA. And here are abbreviations continued. There is also a difference in APA for authors of audiovisual materials, which is listed here. This shows who would be considered the author for a specific media type. Here is that list continued. Now looking at citing audiovisual sources in APA. Again, it follows the same sort of format: author, date, title, publisher, and URL. If you have any questions about APA or MLA, you can always meet with a writing tutor at the ARC. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.